Hey there parents, welcome to The Learning Curve with Lapwai. Now today's podcast we are going to throw out the rule book and rediscover what really matters in raising our kids. Let's be real for a moment. How many of us have felt overwhelmed, exhausted and like we're constantly fighting an uphill battle with parenting? Yeah, I see you nodding. So this podcast is different. We're not here to give you another set of rigid rules or make you feel guilty about your parenting. Instead, we're going to dive deep into the messy, beautiful, and complicated world of raising humans, with real stories, expert insights, and practical strategies that actually work. So let's welcome Jen Talon, the therapist who turns family struggles into extraordinary connections. With 35 years of marriage and family therapy experience, Jen isn't just a counselor. She's a family transformation expert who believes life is meant to be fulfilling, unlimited, and naturally good. So today we're going to dive deep in. Let's start.
Hey, hi everyone, and welcome Jen back to our podcast today. And today she's going to share about fun parenting. So let's let Jen share what this fun is about parenting. Let's welcome Jen.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us on this podcast. Fun parenting. I think by the end of the day, did I have any fun at all? Did I ever laugh with my kids? Or was I just giving orders all day long? Was I just correcting and saying, sit down and wait, or hurry up, we got to go? Did we ever have a conversation? What will my kids remember? What will they think about this? Let's lean into the word fun for a minute. Because fun, I agree, is laughing, having something playful or lighthearted. Those kinds of things are indeed fun. But fun can go a little deeper than that in my mind, and it builds better memories. Because fun can stand for, is it fulfilling? Meaning, is it satisfying? When you and your kiddos are done with something, and it could just be doing dishes, did you build a little bit better connection with each other so that it was worth your time? Not just because the dishes are done or something is folded or the toys are put away, but because you spent actual time with each other. So are you a little bit more fulfilled? Are you satisfied? And then the U is for, how do we make it so that we can have unlimited conversations? Meaning we can talk about anything at all. Okay, so we can talk about how our baby's made in a way that's appropriate for anybody at any age and stage. But we can also talk about why it's important to not lie, or why it's important that you're kinder to your sibling. And we can do that with compassion, and we can do that with maybe some humor. Okay, that just keeps us connected with each other, because now that conversation will be fulfilling and we will not be frightened to approach anything with our kids. And our kids will come with us to talk about anything. Okay, this to me is really fulfilling parenting. The third part to fun is the N. And the N is we want it to be naturally good. This isn't an effort to make you put on like your parenting clothes and now I'm a parent and this is how I behave. Okay. And always thinking through sort of the metrics of how do we make this happen. Okay. That can be interesting to do, but it's probably not going to build the connection that you want because you now are out of character. And you're not being true to yourself and to who you are. And somewhere in the fun, we want it to be natural for you and natural to your kiddo. How do we do that between those two? Because some of our kiddos are introverts, right? They get worn out with the noise and the crazy and all the activity. And our other kiddos love that noise and that activity. And we have both things going on at the same time. How do we make it naturally good to live within your family unit, even when your kiddos have different personalities? And not only that, they're different than yours or your spouse's. Got a whole mishmash of things. Let's back up just a little bit farther. Is that making sense to you so far? Yeah?
Yes, yes. And everyone is always talking about the fun about parenting,
Yeah.
but I think it's very surface. We are touching base on the very surface of about fun parenting. But what is that fun about? And you describe it really well about having the fulfillment, the unlimited conversation, no matter what conversation it is, we can still talk about it so that the child feels comfortable and open to share with you if they have any questions.
Yeah.
And being
also,
natural as well.
if you have questions towards your child, you can ask them. There's enough trust built in that so that the kiddo can answer. A 4-year-old is going to have a different answer than a 14-year-old here. But according to their age, they still have knowledge. And
Yeah,
they still want to know that their mom and dad value their knowledge or their perspective.
agree. The part about the having different character, or some introvert, some extrovert, I think that's the part where a lot of parents will struggle. Like, how do I manage if I am different from my child, or if the two children are different? I think that's a lot of struggle for
Yes.
many parents.
I would agree. And I have 4 kids, and every time we would look at each other, my husband and I, when we would go, okay, what do we do with this? Because how we did a situation, especially bedtime stuff, with one kiddo didn't work for the other one. And then we added a third kiddo, and that kiddo wanted a different approach. And now we're trying to put 4 kids to bed, all with a little different approach.
Yep.
And they're not often big switches. They're often just little 3 to 5 degree changes. Okay. So one kiddo wants us, we're a Christian-based family, so we pray at night with our kids. And one kiddo wants us to pray sitting on the floor next to them, but don't touch them, because they're getting ready to go to sleep and they don't want to be touched when they go to sleep. Another kiddo wants to sit on our lap with all of the lights on. And the room is an absolute chaos mess. Clothes have not been put away. But all they want to do to end their day is snuggle with their mom on their lap and say their prayers.
Wow.
Yeah. And so in that, instead of saying, no, this is the right way to do this, however you would like to talk to Jesus at the end of the day is fine with me. Okay? But as the kiddos got older, when the 10-year-old turned 13 and 14, even a little, maybe even at 10, but wanted to do some journaling first.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so you want to journal first, then you come to me. Okay, you don't get to journal till midnight. You have about 20 minutes here to journal. Okay, I'm not dragging this on forever. And my personality, right?
Yep.
But you want to journal, then you come and get me.
Agree.
Okay? 10, old enough to come and get me. And that honors her personal space and honors our desire to say a nighttime prayer with our kids.
Nice.
You see how you have to blend that, but we have to listen to what do you want and how can I do that?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, you have to customize to different kids. But a lot of parents, like nowadays, because both parents are working most of the time, and they get too tired.
Yes.
It's too tiring and too tedious to customize to each child.
Well, I would say yes, and I would say no. Because if I didn't customize, I was going to have 2 out of those 3 kids. The other one was infant. So we were just being infanting, right? We were just rocking and patting bottoms and things. But the other 3 at that stage, if I cook it, like box them into this is how it has to be, 2 of the 3 were going to fight me.
Yeah. Agree.
So it's easier to say, what's your best way to do this? Okay. The kiddo whose room is a disaster. Okay. If I had pushed, this has to be picked up, I would have had a fight every night.
Yeah.
This kiddo doesn't care. I had to decide I didn't care. Okay. What does this kiddo do? This kiddo wakes up early all the time. and will organize her room instead of coming to wake me up. Fine. You be 7 and do that all day long. Right? I had to change my approach, and so I want it all neat before we go to bed. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. But how do we manage like parents who think that if we customize, some will think that we are over pampering the child?
Well, I would say I don't think I'm over pampering. I think I'm honoring.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
They get their way, but we still have to be in bed by this time. We still
Mm.
are going to sleep. Nobody gets to say, at least not in my world, I would like to watch this movie and it's 8 o'clock at night. Like, no, that's not a conversation.
I think that's when we have to set like certain rules and regulations. That's where everyone has to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we said at supper time, you have to come and sit at supper.
Yep.
Now, supper for the kids was late. Supper for my husband was 6 o'clock. That's when he could likely get home.
Yeah.
But those kids came home from school at 3:30, and then I let them snack their way all the way up to supper. How did I do that? I fed them food they would have eaten at supper anyways. They just didn't have it on their dinner plate. So they had veggies and dip. They had an apple. They had crackers with some cheese. Okay? Because they're hungry. But we
Yeah.
wanted family meal.
Yes.
And so they had to come and sit, and then they would have some of the meat that I prepared, and maybe if I made some yummy potatoes or something, they'd add something like that. My husband and I, we ate dinner. We were hungry. Sometimes the kids weren't. They still had to sit. We still had some cards on the table that helped make some conversation things. We still asked, where did you see God today? And heard their funny answers. We had a daughter who would, out of the blue, slap her knee. And she would, nothing is happening. And she would slap her knee and she would go, slap her. What would happen? We would all burst out laughing. She's 4 or 5, maybe. But it was just hilarious. And whenever she wanted to lighten the mood, she'd slap her knee and go, that's a knee slapper. And we'd giggle. And the whole mood would change. She wasn't eating food, but we made it that dinner was about conversation and connection more than about the food.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way, especially with busy parents nowadays.
Yeah.
And having more than one child. It's some of them are like pulling their hair out. Like, how do we manage everything and not be triggered that easily?
Yes. Yeah. And some of that in my mind for having a fulfilling parenting space is to put with you and your spouse to put together, what do we want our kids to look like and be like by the time they're in their teenagers? What skills do we want them to have? What do we want our relationship with them to be like? In my coaching program, in my video program, we talk about what are your desires? What are your dreams? When you think of my dream family, okay, what does that look like? Okay, now let's make sure that it's realistic. Okay, if neither one of you are athletes and you want world-class athletes, that might be challenging.
Yes.
So we got to be realistic. Okay, and my husband and I parented then more towards what character traits do we want our children to have? And then we parented towards that because we knew that that was what was going to be fulfilling to us. Did our kids know how to be kind? Did they know how to tell the truth even when it was hard? Did they know how to step up and be helpful even if they didn't want to? Did they know how to be responsible with their own things? And be respectful of others' things, even if they're on the stairs and it looks like you should just step on it? Would you be willing to just step over it?
Yeah.
Don't smash the Lego collection creation. I know it's on the steps. Slide it to the edge. Don't step on it. Don't kick it down the stairs. Step over it. Okay, so when parents set those kinds of ideas in front of them, then they can work their parenting towards the kiddo in a way that is age appropriate.
Agree.
Okay. I talk about it in terms of the D, the N, and the A. Now, this is different than the fun. Sorry. The D is, what is your desires? What are your dreams for your family, especially in terms of character development? Okay. And then the N is, what are the necessary skills that you're going to use to help to train or to raise or to teach your kiddo how to live into those character traits? So we're going to talk about, how are you going to talk to them? How are you going to help them learn how to listen? How are you going to help them understand emotional regulation? Okay.
I agree.
Those kinds of things. And then how do we use those skills for a 4-year-old versus a 7-year-old versus a 10-year-old versus a 14-year-old? Because I'm hoping that you aren't talking to your 4-year-old like a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I'm hoping that you're not talking to your 14-year-old like a 4-year-old. Right?
Yeah, that's a lot of, there's a lot of skills that we need to be conscious and be aware of whenever we are dealing with our children at different age, with different characters. And we have to be always conscious about how do we talk to them, what kind of words or language that we want to share with them as well.
Yeah. Well, because in that parenting, our kiddos are going to follow us. That communication rule across the languages is the same. It is about 80 to 85% nonverbal. That's what our kids are following, is the nonverbal. We still have to use words to teach, but if our words don't match our actions, our kiddos are going to follow our actions.
Agree.
So if we say, be nice to our kiddo, well, yes. But if we bend down to my 3-year-old or my 5-year-old and I say, how can we be kinder? How can we be nicer with this? I agree. It's your doll. Now, how are we going to ask for your doll when Susie is done with it? Okay, and we're now, because I agree, it's her doll, and I agree. Well, friend has had it for quite a while and doesn't want to give it back. And I can see where a little kiddo's brain is going, it's my doll, it's my doll. I'm going to keep it forever. And that anxiety. So how are we going to be kind even when we ask for our dolly back?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of consciousness that we have to be aware of in order to train them or to parent them the way that we desire. Like what you mentioned is be nice to them. It's the action and the words doesn't match. And a lot of time parents do not realize that because they can't see how they are behaving or what they are saying.
Yeah, it's very easy. I've been a parent a long time and I got a lot of grandkids. And so I do parenting, but also help my kids with their struggles in some ways. And the energy it takes to stay calm is less than the energy it takes to become riled up.
Interesting.
It's flip.
Yeah.
Right? It flips over. We think, I don't have the energy to calm myself down. The energy you're spending on your anxiety and your angst about a situation is about 4 times more than what it would take if you took a deep breath and said, low and slow. Just go low and slow. Lower your voice and slow down. Slow down that pentameter. This slow, you hear it? Because if we can slow down our pentameter, the rate of our speech, our heart rate goes down. You know what? So does our kiddos. Now our brain can rebalance. We can clear out cortisol and adrenaline, and both of us can do that thinking.
Have you encountered parents like they are so anxious that they can't calm down, they just want to let it all out?
Yes.
How do this kind of parents deal with that? How do
Oh,
they
I
remind
want to hug
themselves?
them. Why? They're just so tired. It is tiring to be that wound up all the time.
It is.
And I want to just reassure those parents that you're okay. What you bring to this little one is not accidental. Okay, there's not birth and conception is a miracle. When you look at the stats, it's a doggone miracle. And so this child didn't come to you by accident. This is on purpose belongs to you for a good reason. And it's for your kiddo's growth and for your growth.
Mm,
So take a deep breath. Be honored by your kiddo's presence, not shamed. Be honored. Okay.
nice.
Nobody else can be this kiddo's parent. You are it. So now, don't add like a brick of pressure on yourself. Okay. Now take a deep breath and just live a little bit more into what a treasure you have.
Mm,
Okay. Because your kindness and your enjoyment of your kiddo will bring out the kindness and the enjoyment of your kiddo back to you. It's also going to bring peace in your house.
yeah.
Okay. Parents lead, kids follow, and kids do not want to lead. They are frightened in leading. They want a mom and dad to follow. So calm down and be followable.
Mm, that's very nice. That's what I think a lot of parents have to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It takes 2.5 seconds to hold your kiddo's hand. Okay. And, so you have 2.5 seconds. Here's my kiddo's hand. And I hold it like this and I give it a little squeeze. Okay. And then I say, want some potatoes. And I let go of their hand so I can give them some potatoes.
Mm,
This connection point to their hand, this is a rather poor looking hand, but this connection point, both of you feel it. That sends all sorts of information into your brain about I belong, I'm important, I'm valued. And all it is a quick little handhold.
yeah,
All it is a quick little touch on the head.
that
All it
skin to
is
skin touch.
skin to skin. It's that quick little kiss on the cheek or kiss on the forehead.
Mm,
Okay. It doesn't take time, in my mind, to do those things.
yeah, I agree. I still remember once I saw one kiddo who was like screaming his
Oh,
lungs out,
yes.
and the mom was like super calm,
Mhm.
arranging the table
Yep.
because we were at the cafe. So she was
Oh, yeah.
arranging the table, make sure
Mhm.
all the food are displayed nicely, and then she carried the screaming child and
Mhm.
just hugged.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then after a while, that few minutes later, the child calms down
Yes.
and
Yes.
started to eat.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Mhm. 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 Yeah. Because Mama knew that the connection was going to matter. And she
Mm,
was going to be able to be more calm when she had her table set. So she took care of that for a minute. I do not know a child who has died from crying. Okay.
yeah, I
They,
think that's I think when she's like arranging the table, is also calming herself.
yes, I think she was. Yes, because if her table was set, she could say, that's done. Now I can really give my all to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be like, which one do I do first? What do
Yeah.
I do now?
If she's trying to calm it while she's holding him, then he's squirming and he's going to kick something over.
Correct.
That's going to be messy.
Yeah, that's so important. And this fun is such a basic fundamental that we all have to follow and apply
Yes.
while we parent our children.
Yes. Yeah. I want to encourage spouses to help each other.
That's very important.
Okay, pass the baton. You're too tired and this kiddo is making you crazy. You guys have a little signal between each other. Okay, and we had a signal. One of them was a wink. And so it looked funny or friendly, but it was trade. It was that bad, but we knew.
Yep.
You're on the teeth with those kids. I'm over here.
Yeah. I think
Because
that partnership is important.
yes, yeah. And if you don't have a partner during the tenser times, then give yourself a minute. Okay? Let the kids scream and be crazy. You just go wash your face or wash your hands. That touch of water to face and to skin really helps our brain change and reset. Take a deep breath. Hold your cup of coffee for a minute. Okay. Avoid the alcohol. Do that after bedtime. Avoid it right now. It doesn't help your brain think better.
True. Yeah, that's really useful. Like washing your hand, washing your face, that kind of like the signal that's sent through your body, it really
Yes.
calms you down.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And when you are calm, your kiddos are going to be able to follow you. And it will often take 3 to 10 minutes before they will follow you, but they will. Be the leader. And set the timer on your phone if you need to. 3 minutes. Where are we at? Reset. Need 3 more.
Agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And that's very useful as well because no one has ever mentioned to me about washing hand and washing face to calm them down. Usually it's take a deep breath.
Yeah, that's not enough. When
Yeah.
you're wound up, one deep breath isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
It's a
And
big
when you're
that is a and now I'm still mad.
it's like you're pumping up instead.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just go wash your hands or wash your face. Brush your hair. Look at all those things attached to the top of your head. And when you're going to brush through them, your brain gets all sorts of little different messages and lets the electronic messaging rearrange a little bit. All you did was brush your hair.
Yeah. Or
Just
scratch it.
yep. Mhm. Yep.
That's wow, that's something that has been overlooked by many people. And I think none of the people that I've spoke to have talked to me as washing the hands or scratching your head or combing your hair. And this is very basic and easily done, especially when you are like pent or vent up.
Yes.
And that distract you as well. Distract you from the situation.
Yes. Yes. But the other thing it does is it makes you take a different kind of breath. So the deep breath is not inappropriate, but doing it on its own often is ineffective. Okay, if we hold a cup of hot water, that warmth in our hand sends messages to our brain that say settle down. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we drink something. There's so many nerve endings inside that mouth that change how we pray, how we think, and how we process. And that changes our breathing rate.
I agree. It's like in the morning you wake up, you feel so tired, and then after a cup of coffee or tea, you feel so calm.
Yes,
you can start your day.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. That's so easy to do, but it's not remembered to be done when dealing with the kids.
Yes. So we talked about where do you want your kiddos to end up like, and then talking to them sort of at their age and space. And then that is those unlimited conversations. And often we have to bring them up. They're hard to do, but remembering to talk at the age that your kiddo is. I talk about lying to a 4-year-old who's just getting the concept is different than talking to a 14-year-old about it. But our ability to stay calm and to say, we have to talk about something. I want you to learn something new or think about this a different way. And then we're not going to talk so much about whether or not it's right or wrong. We're going to talk about how it impacts the other people we're around.
Yeah, I
Because
like that.
okay, that builds the empathy that says, I wouldn't lie to my friend. It would really insult them and hurt them.
Mm,
Okay, if I lie about this, my parents will eventually find out. That's going to break trust. I don't want to do that. And we talk more about what's going to happen within the relationships in those unlimited conversations. Okay, and
yeah.
what it does to our character and our identity, then whether or not it's a right thing to do or a wrong thing to do.
Mm,
Because we want them to consider the personal impact and the social impact on what their
yeah.
choices are.
Oh, that's a good way to teach about empathy. And
Yeah.
having them to realize that what's the consequences if you do certain things, rather than telling them straight that, oh, this is right or this is wrong.
Mhm. Mhm. We got to
Which,
think farther down the road.
yeah, that
Mhm.
that is a good way to guide and teach the children how they should react in
Yeah.
different kind of situations.
Yeah. And so when we start to teach that, now we're teaching into our dreams and our desires, what we wanted our kiddo to look like and behave, right? And as we do that kind of teaching and our kids' brains are calm, because I'm not going to talk about you just lied, just to a kiddo who's upset. They can't hear me. They're
Yep.
upset.
Mm,
Okay. We have to now talk this down into a different place that says when we've all thought about this a little bit, we're going to come back and talk about it.
mm,
But we're going to be calm because we're going to think about what we could do different.
yeah,
And that's how we build those unlimited conversations.
that's good. That's a good one. Wow, I learned so much today from you. Is there anything else to add on for this fun parenting? You
If I have 3 minutes, I would teach you about Dan Siegel. Dan Siegel writes in the English speaking world, The Whole Brain Child. And he talks about that a kid, this is your brain stem. Here, this is your brain. Okay. An adult brain looks like this. The messaging from the brain stem coming up here is coming in to your emotional place right here into your thumb. This is tucked into the center of your brain. And when you are born, this part of your brain is fairly well developed. This part of your brain has no fingers. I cannot bend my fingers backwards, so just pretend there are no fingers.
Okay.
Okay. This is why your baby is all emotions, because this is the emotional center of your brain. This is why
Uh,
your baby cries. This is why when he giggles, he does a belly laugh, and it's so fun. Okay. As we grow, it takes about 4 years for these fingers to develop. And as they develop in America, and I think where you guys are too, sometimes people put out like balloons that are like tall, really tall, and then they blow air on them, and the thing flops around like this, and you're supposed to come into their store and buy something.
oh
And it's a
yeah,
balloon
yeah.
thing that flops all over the place. That's what these are like in a little kid, in a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. They're flopping all over the place. They are not well developed. You can't really tell what's going on. This is where logic and reasoning is growing.
Hmm.
And as they grow, they become heavy and they go woo like this. And watch. They tuck right in. Now look at logic and reasoning can talk to emotions.
Wow.
You see how that works?
Yes. And
When
see how
our
they connected.
kiddos, yeah, now we're connected. But when adults and when kiddos get distressed, get anxious, get overtired, get too hungry, they go, wah! And we call blow their lid. Reasoning and logic are no longer connected to emotion. Emotion is still connected to brainstem. Reasoning and logic is not. So whatever's going on up here doesn't come out their mouth, just wailing, complaining, loud noises, stomping. We got this is where our breath, our washing our face, our hands helps these guys go, oh yeah, and they come back down here.
Wow.
Now we're connected. And now
Yes.
we can think. And this is what we want our kiddos' brains to be like when we're talking about something serious. Okay. When they're running around the house crazy, laughing and giggling and throwing a ball or acting like airplanes, whatever they're doing, this kind of run around with your lid flipped, go for it. Have a ball. Okay. When you just got to giggle so hard that I don't know, that you just giggle and giggle and giggle till your tummy aches, that's wonderful. Do it all day long. But when you have to have a serious conversation, we need to have logic tucked in.
You have them all connected.
Yes, all connected. But I want you to remember, our 2-year-olds can't do this. They don't have it. Our 2-year-olds, we simply are going to calm and help them practice good behavior and words. By 4, 5, and 6, we can begin to see this grow, but we have to help them. Okay? By helping them, this is have good conversation with them. Ask them why they're thinking what they're thinking. Honor their answers. Because that's what Julie said. Oh, okay. How would Julie know that? Tell me more about Julie. Okay. Not Julie's a dumb person. Don't listen to her. Okay. Because you just blew your lid. Well, your kid's going to do that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more about Julie. Okay. So that's my 3-minute Mr. Dan Siegel.
Wow.
Brainstem.
Thank you, Jen. That's really, really useful. And that's with the visual, it's so much easier to explain to parents as well.
Yes.
Or let the parents know like how a child will behave and how you should be connecting their brains.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And just a final note, people say that looks like a punch. And I'm like, oh, no. This is an all body hug. That's what this is. We're just all hugged in. This is an all body hug. This isn't a punch. Don't punch. Just a really sweet hug.
So one last thing. What is one advice you would like to give to the parents?
I would like to say to parents, take care of your marriage. Because how you treat your spouse is how your kids are going to learn to treat other people. Your kindness, your cooperation, your conversations, even when there's some tension in how you treat each other, is what your kiddos are going to do.
So agree with that.
Parenting is important. Your marriage is still what they are going to follow.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
Yes.
That's really useful, and I've learned so much from you today.
Thank you. I'm really glad.
So many nuggets. Yeah, so many nuggets I can bring back and practice on my own as well.
Always, but even as I talk and I'm around grandkids often, I'm like, and Jen, you should remember that too. And reminding myself.
Yeah, it's a great reminder, especially during nowadays that we are so busy with our life. Sometimes we just forget.
Yes.
And this is a great reminder for ourselves. And looking at the hand, straight away you know that what we should do.
Yep.
When certain mood came out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jen. So happy to have you here and share with all the audience all the golden nuggets. And to all our audience who are listening, Jen is going to give a free 1-hour one-to-one conversation about parenting situations that you are struggling with and or maybe not sure how to deal with. Jen will be here to guide you along. So I'll be sharing her link to book a call with her on the show notes. So if you're struggling with any of parenting situations or emotions, let her know and book a call with her.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you everyone for listening in.
Indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Before we wrap up today's episode of The Learning Curve with Lapwai, I want to leave you with a powerful question that might just change how you see your parenting journey. What if the most important skill you could teach your child isn't about academic achievement, sports, or even manners, but the ability to truly understand themselves and connect with others? Think about that for a moment. In a world that's constantly pushing us to do more, achieve more, be more, what if the greatest gift we could give our children is a space to be authentically themselves? This is the heart of what we explore here on Learning Curve with Lapwai. If this episode sparked something in you, a new perspective, a moment of reflection, or even a tiny spark of hope, I invite you to do these 3 things. Subscribe to our podcast, share this episode with another parent who might need to hear these insights. Leave a review, your words help other parents too. And hey, if you want to dive deeper, I'll be sharing additional resources, bonus content, and behind-the-scenes insights to our websites and social media channels. Just search for The Learning Curve with Lapwai. We are everywhere. Until next time, keep breaking the rules, keep building those bonds. And remember, parenting is a journey, not a destination. This is Lapwai signing off from The Learning Curve with Lapwai.